I'm on the review.
Okay, 6:30, I call this special meeting of the Building Commission to order. It's 6:30. We are at the Town Hall John Daly Meeting Room and also joined via Zoom. Attendance, we have 7 regular members. Melissa has them all written down. And we are here for discussion of possible vote on bid for replacement architect for a community center project. So, did everybody get the handouts for the new bid for the architects? Everybody take a look at that?
That's the one in the packet. Second time?
I think so. Melissa said, yeah. So this is the new bid that we got from the architect, as everybody can see. These guys are charging us, it's the only bid we got.
Yeah.
Didn't get-
It's gonna be one of my questions.
That's the only bid we got. Obviously, this commission was gonna submit a positive referral to the Board of Selectmen. And this is why we're having a special meeting, because everybody wanted to review the bid from the architect, the new architect. So if everybody got a chance to look at that, you can see these guys are out of Seymour, Connecticut, which is probably about an hour and a half away. These guys are charging us $225 per hour. They're also charging us 75 cents per mile, which is roughly $135 in travel time both ways. And they're also charging us for the ride down here at $225 an hour. Times 3 is going to end up probably about $810 per trip to come back and forth. Plus any time, so if they're here an hour, it's going to be $1,000 both ways, which is quite a bit. Also, they're probably going to take in their contract, they're also going to take 1 to 2 weeks to review everything at $225 an hour. So that's $9,000 a month or week, sorry, times 2 is probably another $18,000 to review. So they're quite expensive, and it's somebody taking over somebody else's project. You guys being in the construction field, you guys know that you're not going to come in cheap taking over somebody else's, not problem, but it's an unfortunate situation that the architect had passed away. Doesn't usually happen in the middle of a project. That being said, there's also mention of the building code that we need the architect to sign off to get a CO. We actually don't. 111.13 out of the Connecticut State Building Code, statement of professional opinion reads, pursuant to section 29-276C of the Connecticut General Statutes, no certificate of occupancy shall be issued for proposed structure or addition to a building classified as A, assembly, which this is. And they go on to education, high hazard, hotels, motels. So that fits that class right there. Until the building official has been provided with a statement signed by the architect or professional engineer. So it's either or. So the architect can sign off, or the professional engineer and the general contractor stating that the complete structure or addition is substantial compliance with the approved plans on file. So I think this article was written in here just in case they had problems with the architect. So by state law, the engineer and the building official, they can sign off on this and you can get a CO. I'm just putting it out there. That being said, the new guy's going to be expensive. So that's what we're here for discussion. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this situation?
I have a couple.
You'll go ahead.
No, I have a couple questions. Well, one, the original architect was 200 an hour, so the $25, in my opinion, is not gonna be a huge difference.
Okay.
I do want to know what the USDA has for their answer, because they were the ones who are providing the funding for it. And I know that although building codes for the state need to be followed, I also know that the federal generally trumps the state when it comes to something. So I'd like to know what the, like something from the USDA that basically says we will not need to have the same architect close this job out or a architect to close this job out, even though the job started with an architect.
So all I know is Joe mentioned to me that during their meeting that the and I don't have anything in writing, USDA said you're far enough along where you really don't need an architect. That's just, I don't have anything in writing stating
Right.
that.
Well, I think it would have been good for Joe to provide that information
Okay.
because.
Well, you're correct. Steve, the PE or the engineer with the USDA said that he thought things were moving along fine the way they were. He did not. They didn't care if the
Mhm.
town hired an architect.
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
giving
Right.
you a position on my end.
No.
one way or the other.
Yeah,
And we do not have that in writing. It's a
Verbal.
Right.
Figures.
and that, for me, just in this position, I know that for this particular job, we're oversight because this is federal money and we were told that this does not come through us. And we're kind of just a liaison for this particular project. But I do have concerns about that. I also am more wondering about where the town can stand with respect to the architect that we did have, what kind of insurance was in place that would help offset costs for us to hire another architect. And that's why I had asked for the architect's contract because I wanted to see what was listed in there. And that was a preliminary contract. And it had said that if there was any additional work or the job went on to a project, that another contract would be done possibly, but I didn't see anything. So I don't know what was written into his contract to like have professional liability insurance or something like that, that would, and I also am not educated enough to know whether or not that would help us. But I know from a subcontractor standpoint, you have bonding in place. If you can't finish a job, it helps. Just don't know if architects have that. And I don't know if that's what a professional liability is for. I just want to know if there's something that can help us offset it, because that could possibly weigh in on my answer with that. Because if there's gonna be something that comes back to us from a policy, then that could help offset that.
Costs, yeah.
I mean, with all due respect.
I'm perfectly honest, I did not have a lot to do with the contract itself and its writing or signing or all that. However, I gotta believe there's a professional liability insurance involved in it.
Mhm.
That being said, I don't know if it would be for liabilities, like if something went wrong on the project.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's anything in there like if he died, they'll help
Yeah.
pay for,
I mean, I'm just looking at
Yeah,
it
I
from like a
don't-
bonding
I don't.
standpoint. If a contractor can't finish a job, the bonding picks up. It doesn't give a reason why they can't. So I'm just asking that question.
I think it's a good idea to look into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know we don't want to continue prolonging this either, this vote.
Well, I know if they file like for bankruptcy to like during a project, that kind of, we could be kind of covered there. I don't know if it's covered.
And I don't know,
Yeah.
but I do think that's an important.
Of course,
Yeah.
time I didn't bring the whole book with me. Vacation.
The only other thing that I had a question with on the bid that we had received was, I know at the same time, we had sent out a bid request for the town for us to have the professional engineering and an architect, like a universal one for any projects. And the letter that came over for them was written as on-call architectural services, not per the community center. So I just want to make sure, like, they bid knowing they're finishing up this job. And their bid wasn't for the other bid that went out.
oh, that actually, the bids we set out.
Yeah, it was like within a week or two from one.
For engineering and surveying.
Yep,
It had nothing to do with architecture.
okay.
I have, however,
Mhm.
since this, sent to the first selectman for his review an on-call
Mhm.
architect proposal to put that out. there.
Okay,
So hopefully he'll review that, whether he brings it to the board or says yay.
okay.
I mean, it's just so we can go out there and have, I don't know, did you get any bids for that? The state
Mhm.
and other towns, I did some research, other towns actually do that.
Yeah,
for projects and, you know, quite honestly, if we had one, we probably could have brought them in to oversee this at a reasonable rate and what have you, but unfortunately,
Right.
we didn't.
I would just make a suggestion with that is that we get more of a firm rather than an individual as an architect. Because if you don't know what can happen and it's easier to go from one individual in a firm to the next rather than us being in this type of.
Mm.
It should not happen. It's horrible that it happened, but I'm looking at from the town's best interest, we should have a firm rather than an individual doing.
It hasn't even hit the street yet.
No, I'm just,
Yeah.
it's just my
I
suggestion.
get your point.
Well, I mean, that being said, the guy, we used him in the past and he's right out of Enfield, so it was,
I know, and it's just, but
yep.
It was rather
On
convenient.
call, I could,
I'm sure it was. Sure it was.
that would probably be the ideal situation, is have an on-call if we really need one.
But that was kind of it.
I
on what
would,
my
I would
thoughts were.
definitely want to see what, you're right on the ball with that, FHA, what are they, or whoever's funding it, we need to make sure that we do not have to have one. I mean, Jim's got the statute, I wish that should be in the, right in the packet, so we got it, you can get some copies to us.
Yeah.
So we all got a chapter and verse, if that's the statute, that's the statute.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the architect had for insurance.
Oh,
So
he
that's a
had to
good
have.
point, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring the book, I have all,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that was a requirement.
Well, I'm sure it is.
Professional insurance,
I'm sure there's coverage, I'm
absolutely
sure
was
there's
a
some type of
requirement.
coverage under that.
probably in here in
Okay.
their quote that they have it too, if you look.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
They didn't give us
Like
like
his,
a,
the question is, when does his coverage stop? Upon his death or upon the
Probably.
finish of his work?
I don't know.
Yeah,
So
so
we're-
like you said, those jobs don't get finished for a reason, so there have to be some kind of insurance,
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
so.
I'm sure of that. I
Bonder.
definitely need to hear that we don't, the financing authority, the feds don't require it. And if that's the case and they're happy with what we're doing, let's continue with what we're doing and maybe the budget job will come in under bid. Or actually under budget, maybe, ha ha ha. I know, it'd be a miracle when,
Oh, it'll come in
Under.
under.
well, good. The more
I don't think
that-
there's gonna be a penny to spare, but it'll.
No, well, that
We'll
would
make
be,
sure it comes in.
it'd be awful nice to give some money back to the taxpayers.
the architect didn't want to do like here's $5,000. Cover this much and anything after that, then we go to the hourly rates. I mean, I deal a lot with architects and that's what they kind of do. They do like hey, it costs you $10,000 if that's 4 site visits, that's this, that's that. And if I go over that, then it becomes an hour thing. So we end up managing them so that we can control them, keep them in their money frame.
Yeah, and what we don't want to do, we don't want to give them an open checkbook.
No, but I mean, you kind of,
The way this is written, it's an open checkbook.
yes, that's what
This is why we're red flagging this all over the place.
it's almost like they didn't want to do it. So they're giving us the right hourly rate so they could say, well, if you really want us.
When you come in on any construction project to pick up where somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine too.
You don't want to do it.
No,
I've had it happen. I'm sure he's had it happen. Skip's had it happen. You
The fact that.
get liable because you don't know.
yeah, shows you there too.
So again, we're only making referral to the Board of Selectmen. We have no control over,
If we're just a liaison in this job, they're gonna do what they wanna do, right?
I'm sure the building commission, they were influence their vote.
They'll-
It should.
they'll
That's where the
always listen to
professionals-
what we say.
What's the difference in cost from what this architectural firm would be doing now compared to,
25 an hour.
25 an hour and then review the plans. They get up,
that's the big chunk, is reviewing the plan?
their scope is like, you can review those plans in a couple hours.
Yeah.
But they're writing on their scope of work 1 to 2 weeks.
They've got to review the plans as if it's a project they're gonna bid on.
Yeah.
And all this.
Yes.
Correct.
Which would have been anybody
Yeah,
who was coming out to do this
So
anyway.
far
It's like we're paying double
What do
for,
you do? Yeah, but what are you gonna review the foundation for? It's in and done and signed off.
They're still
My
gonna
The
do it.
work
They're still
is
gonna
in
do
and
it.
done, forget it.
I believe we were at a point with Steve, our previous architect, where, and I don't have the contract, but I believe we were at a point with him that we were like just basically paying him a retainer of $1,500 or $2,000 a month or something, and he was making periodic, daily, there's problem visits to the site, and it was here's what I'm gonna bill you, or here's what you owe me, and I'm gonna make such and such visits, do reports, that kind of thing.
That's probably all we need.
So we weren't at a point with him where we were actually paying him by the hour. It was kind of
as needed.
I just thought when we put out the contract, it was supposed to follow the same design as what we had already. Basically what we already had going on. So I could see them reviewing the plans. I just figured that they would be coming back with, saw what they were doing. This is what we're supposed to follow these guidelines, I guess, is what I'm getting at. That's what we gave them.
I think I would have preferred we reviewed your drawings, we understand your situation, to
Yep.
finish up the balance, we've checked in, we understand that you're at 60% complete for the balance of the project. We would estimate it would be this to do this, this, and this. As is, pending change orders, it would be this to review,
Yeah.
and we didn't get any of
I
that.
totally agree, because that was just a form letter.
If we had 4 bids, this would be out the window
Yes,
in a heartbeat.
you wouldn't even look at it.
We all agree upon that, but this
I
is,
think that says a lot, the fact that they don't want to bid on it, because
so now what do we do?
Let's say we vote on it, send it back to the
Well,
selectmen.
the key to the whole deal is if the financing authority is okay the way we're going,
Right.
let's go the way we're going. You need a quick consult from an architect, I'm sure we can find one fast, locally.
So we have two different things. We've got the insurance question,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to get answered, and also if they're okay with us moving forward.
Well, without an architect.
yeah, I have wanted something from whoever's gonna sign the
We need-
final.
Before we sign off.
From the Department of Ag.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it needs to be in black and white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all. And I think we're good to go, just the way it is.
okay, we can certainly ask them that. Joe, we can,
More information we give the Board of Selectmen, the more educated decision they'll be able to make.
so, that being said, we're gonna have another, when is their meeting with,
our monthly meeting with the USDA is actually
or can we just call them?
down here is. It'll be the 25th, so it'll be 2 weeks from yesterday. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we call it?
We can certainly, I don't know what your guys' schedule is, but we could certainly send Steve an email,
Yeah,
ask him question,
Mhm.
ask him,
Yeah.
for it, right?
so if we can get that in writing from him, from Steve, that's the new guy, that's the Department of Ag guy, Steve,
USDA,
USDA guy.
he's the engineer overseeing the project and the finance.
And we send a letter out to the building commission and then schedule another special meeting.
Absolutely.
can we, between now and then, can we get an answer who's gonna be, if something happens on the building, who is liable?
Something happens on the building. who is liable?
Architect would have been liable for the drawings.
Yeah,
Who's gonna pick up that?
That
so,
we should be able to find out when we find out about their insurance.
Yeah, they should,
Yeah.
For me, I look at it like an architect and the engineer are the ones that are,
Certificate.
yeah.
But
Does
usually,
the contractor have professional liability?
they have to,
yeah.
oh, yeah,
they have to.
Okay,
but they are their only liabilities.
Do
If
they
they
have
don't
builder's
build it
risk?
by the plans or they use
I don't know.
who's
improper
carrying the builder's
material.
risk? This job,
I'm sorry?
who's carrying the builder's risk on the job?
I can't say for a fact, I would assume it's the builder.
Okay,
you know.
Okay.
I mean, there is a structural engineering firm that's, that designed
Mhm.
steel, and
Yeah.
they come out when there's any questions and what have you.
Yeah, as long as it's like for me personally, like as long as it's all trickled down and you remove the top entity out, it's still, there's a structure in place, I'm comfortable with that. I just don't want us to come back on the town
Yeah,
or any of us for making a decision saying it's okay to not have an architect.
Well, as long as we have it in writing, that our decision, it should be no problem. I mean. we've
and you,
got-
it's
we've
structural,
got chapter and verse with the state statute. Right there. He's got the number, everything.
Was the original architect
We
just a
should-
solo
Yeah.
office guy?
he's a local guy out of Enfield, and he's been around for years and done tons and tons of products around here, so we've used him in the past.
Good guy.
He's a good guy, we never had any problems with him, everything was,
All you need.
we didn't expect him to pass away there.
So it's not like a major firm, somebody just.
No, he's like, yeah,
Like who would be liable if he's a small firm? There's nothing left of him,
Yeah.
probably.
so we used him in the past, we gave us good pricing, we'd never, big firm comes with big pricing.
Yes, they do.
Dollars. So,
I mean, if even moving forward, if we ended up with an architect, we should probably get somebody small. If we could, that we could maybe almost put on a retainer like we did with Steve, is that his name?
I think that's what Len was just saying.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
the other architect, yeah.
It's a better alternative if that's what we do. I mean, this is, at the end of the day, these guys are gonna be charging us for the air that they breathe.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and it's gonna be very costly, I think.
You guys see for phone calls and everything else.
No,
Right then, they're like a lawyer.
I mean, a lot of them do that, but they don't,
Plenty of
sometimes they
them
don't charge you.
Yeah. Assistant architect, crew, this, charge you for clerical, they charge you for everything.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
they'll
of
get the
course.
money back that they
I know,
didn't get.
yeah, yeah,
to start off
I know.
It's all overhead. They're gonna charge everything they can,
So,
making 15% on it.
is everybody comfortable with that so far? Jeff?
So-
Everybody comfortable with what we're proposing to do?
I think so.
Get something in
Couple of
writing,
answers,
get something in
right?
writing, we'll email state guys and get that in writing,
That's all we need.
and then we'll come back and have a special meeting again.
Yeah.
Take us 10, 15 minutes.
Well,
Maybe we could find out about the insurance.
Want to find out about the insurance as well, what he had in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, check the insurance, see if there's some money there.
Yep.
I mean,
I don't
all
think
due
that,
respect to him, I'm just thinking of the town and I'm
Yeah.
thinking about
Right.
us as residents and taxpayer money and that kind of stuff.
And that's why I mentioned this, thinking of town, this is just
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, it's,
the architect designs.
Yeah, looking for a
all the
number.
stuff, And then the structural engineer reviews it and changes it so that it meets the code
Question on
The
insurance stuff for
architect is-
architects.
Hold on, this-
all the time.
Honestly, I think we're at a point now where the architect is almost
Done.
Yeah,
I mean, the building's gonna be closed in soon, the
unless
steel's.
we have some major change.
We're still working on some with the MEPs a little bit, because you're gonna have, where are we gonna, make sure we put the plugs and the drops in the right place for for the computers and that stuff. There's, the structural engineers coming out because I think the builder or somebody's trying to tell us we need to do something with where we're gonna replace the unit on the roof, and we believe there may be just a little, they think they need to rebuild the whole thing, and I don't believe that. So we got the structural guy coming out, but again, that's between the HVAC guy and the structural engineer to beat each other up over what they need, and then.
No
the structural
architectural
engineer gonna
change there.
say,
No.
"Oh, you're gonna
Yeah.
do it."
And the
we're in
structure,
MEP world now, really.
Huh?
We're in MEP world now.
yeah,
Pretty
Get it done.
much, because I think the steel is pretty much done. So, I mean,
I mean,
the siding's supposed to show up and go on, but that's
Yeah.
siding.
the tiles picked out, paint's picked out, all that stuff's all
Make sure they clean the floor.
kind of done. Like I said, the structural guys sign off on their stuff. So that covers that.
Across the
You have a
street.
question, Jeff?
Yeah, insurance wise with like our architects, let's say like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that portion is. Like, say when they're doing the drawings, whatever, they miss a bathroom or the plumbing for the bathroom, but it's, boxed in. What happens there when it comes to the town? We have an extra to put in plumbing and stuff like that now. Like, how does that? They don't,
They're not liable for,
liable for.
Yeah, I've never seen an architect.
no,
My
they're all
entire-
smart.
Nah.
All all my years, I've never seen an architect raise their hand and say, yeah, we'll cover that.
Yeah, we missed that, we'll cover it.
Yeah, sure.
We've already dealt with that.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah,
It's
that's why
almost
I'm
like once
asking.
they hand over the drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's on the person who gets the drawings and people involved to, that's part of the bid process too, is you ask the questions, the RFQs and.
If we wrote in the bid and you would get a
Brings
complete
those
set of
things to light.
drawings with no changes, then they'd all be out of business.
so does anybody want to make a motion to continue the meeting until we get a letter from the state guy, Department of Ag guy?
Yeah, we can let you know what we have.
And then answer the insurance question.
What we think we want. Is that the only?
So maybe have Melissa, we'll have her, if we get a letter from him, we'll have an email to everybody and then we'll send an email blast to everybody and saying, hey, this is the date we're gonna meet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Use the telephone for me. Well, if you
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
We did.
No.
Well, it was,
I'm an old
what is
schooler.
it? Discuss and possible vote. It doesn't say discuss and
No.
vote, so possible vote. You
No,
don't have to
It's
vote.
as far away as I
No.
can.
I think
Do what other motion.
Quite a few people feel the same way.
Everybody seem happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We all agree we don't wanna pay this,
I think that's the way to go.
you know, and
I hate to spend any more tax money than we have to.
all of us have the best interest of the town. We don't wanna spend any more money we have to, that's for sure.
I mean, if we need an architect, I'm sure somebody knows somebody that's a small firm that can
Yeah.
come in. And I know they're gonna come in high because it's not their project.
You know,
They gotta cover their butts a little bit. And they're gonna have to research or at least review everything, but
Well, you can't hold them liable for something somebody else
no,
did.
yeah.
I mean, if you change something, yeah, you're responsible for your changes, but
Yes.
you can't go back to what was already done and
I
certified.
mean, to me, if we're bringing an architect in now, it's really more like, hey, we gotta change this whole room or we gotta do something or we need to look at a design and
But like-
it still may be a structural.
Question covering the law.
but like Heather said too, they should give a, you know, the bid should be like, hey, you got a percentage done. We this far along, this is like, they don't even wanna work with you.
Yeah,
I'm sure this is standard boilerplate to give to everybody.
that was like, we'll do it for you,
I
but
think
we don't want.
I've seen something like this.
Well, the
Yeah,
company
it's
said
not Seymour.
town of East Hartford, it didn't say East Windsor.
Yeah.
Okay, that being said, is everybody satisfied? We're gonna move on? Okay, so this is the public participation meeting. Is anybody in the public like to speak on any topic? State your name and record, please.
So, the budget for the attorney for this project is 100,000. So you have lots of money to go ask the attorney all of those questions about what's the implication. So has anyone done that? And then I have another question. Did the original architect know that there was spill at the site and that there was a water problem? And how does that affect the work that he did?
Okay, we will look into that. Anybody else?
Bob White from 80 Rye Street, East Windsor. I just had a question on procedure. Did somebody make a motion and you voted on it?
No, we don't have to make a motion. We're waiting for information to come back from Department of Ag. And then once we get that information, we're gonna email it to the rest of the commissioners. And then we'll schedule another special meeting. And then we'll make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. So we haven't made any motions tonight. We don't need to.
It said possible vote, so my understanding, as I said to Jim, was we don't have to vote tonight. If it said discuss and vote, we'd have to,
Yeah.
or make a
Oh, it
motion.
says
to-
possible vote on the
A
agenda,
possible vote.
so we,
Yeah,
We're not.
we're not
we're
voting.
not voting.
We're not voting.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely not voting.
Anybody else? Name for the record, please.
I've heard a lot of banter, written and verbal, about, different changes that have come to the building. And I just wanted to know, the previous lady asked, who's responsible for them and who's gonna, pay for them, and I heard Len say that there's gonna be, money left over. I'm not sure why that's going to be, other than no basement, but, when they discovered there was a high water table and there was gonna be no basement in that section, I don't understand why that wasn't known before the project plans were approved. And then also, I, was made aware that when they tried to put, certain beams in, that the ground underneath was, insufficient and there had to be work done for that. And there was, a very large charge for that. I don't understand, and again, this isn't my field of expertise. Who was responsible for investigating the ability to build on that land? And then also the water situation that was apparent long before this would ever even thought to be a municipal center. Many people in town were aware, people who've used the facility were aware of it. I was perturbed to hear that the architect or designer did not know that or wasn't made aware of it. I don't understand how these problems weren't known beforehand or the land wasn't investigated or spoken about to avoid these things happening. Can anybody give me any information on that?
I didn't hear what you said, so.
The water table. And why we didn't put a basement in it. And also I know when they wanted to go dig for the foundation too, it was filled in, but fill wasn't virgin soil, number one. And the water table was high. So
She had asked why it wasn't known, I guess.
prior,
Because no one told us. Apparently, as far as the fill situation goes, it appears that Scout Hall was built in a hole and fill was brought in around it.
Yeah.
So, which was fine until you go out 15 feet or whatever and start to want to put a foundation in, and then you find out that the hole was that big and we have to remove the unsuitable soil and put the structural fill in to, obviously to put the footings on, to put the building on.
So I don't think they did any boring before that.
You know,
They did not, to my knowledge. As far as the water table, we had gone out and done some, well, I say we, so I think it was, my department, we went out and dug a test pit in the backyard. And did not hit water. However, we put a standpipe in it. Which, if you're building a septic system, whatever, anyone Dick knows what I'm talking about. I mean, we put a standpipe in it to monitor the groundwater table to see if there was any fluctuation in it, if it's gonna come in, wasn't gonna come in, or what have you. Well, over time, as, I don't remember timing really, but I'm gonna guess it was springtime, because that's generally when the water table comes up. You know, we would go out and monitor it, and we realized that the water table had the ability to come up to a certain level, which would not make it conducive to put a basement in. We probably, I wouldn't have recommended it, but we probably could have put a basement in with a sump pump. But the thing would have probably run all
Yeah.
spring. And it just wasn't a prudent thing to do, so I guess at that time, the decision was made to, you know, put a crawl space there, just, you know, frost walls and go up that way.
and didn't want to have any mold issues and all that stuff. So that's why that was done
So
like,
we were checking the water table, we just didn't get the answer sometimes.
let's see.
Were the plans were drawn up or what is the relation?
I think it was kind of concurrent, if my memory serves me correctly.
Okay.
We were putting a basement in before we started construction. That, it wasn't like we were getting ready to build and we were, uh-oh. So it was well before, and basically to change the plans, all we had to do was shorten the walls by 4 feet, make them a frost wall instead of 8-foot wall, make it a 4-foot wall, basically. All it did was lose some square footage in the basement
Yeah.
for storage.
Yes, ma'am, one more time?
So a permit was pulled when they built Scout Hall, I don't know if it was for 5,000 to 6,000 yards of fill from Burnham. So that's on record that they had that. And the basement didn't get pulled out until the bid was actually out. But in August, I believe it was a wetlands meeting. And the commissioner and public comment said about the water problem. In fact, I'm not sure if it was in August or September meeting before something, they talked about the water problem. But yet the basement didn't come out until November.
I'm familiar with it.
Well, that's, you know, that's the architect's design, that's the architect's, that's how that, when they realized the water table was too high, they did the right thing, in my opinion, not put the basement in.
Right, that was November. And they discussed about a water problem August.
So things take time sometimes. The construction world is very slow. So. Okay,
They would
anybody?
have had to drain like the site all the time while they were digging too, and that would have been an extra cost.
It's a mess.
Place to drain.
That's the other
Mhm.
problem. You get tip hoppers or
The
something.
soils over there are strange. I mean, you go 30 or 40 feet.
One way.
Direction, and it's entirely different material. And we're talking
So we,
random.
we're not really supposed to allow back and forth with the commission, and we're being more than generous, allowing, let people speak and talk. So if you have one more question,
No, on both the state CIF application and the CDS grant application, was stated the site, there was no problems with the site.
until they get out there and start digging some holes. So, okay. Make a motion for adjournment?
Yep.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
The motion. You girl.
Yep, doesn't work.
Second.
Second.
I had her second time.
Who was first?
I don't know. Dick made the motion.
Yeah, whatever.
Doesn't
She can make
matter.
it, I may, or whatever. Who cares?
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion adjourned.
You.
The wetlands.